As we officially head into spring, can we see reasons to hope that things will get back to normal soon? A little leprechaun says yes. An iconic nonprofit in town officially moves into new digs, setting the stage to further expand their landmark efforts to eliminate food waste and feed those in need. And speaking of waste, artists and activists tackle the vexing issue of plastic, making objects of beauty and making an impact as well.
From McLennan Park to Spy Pond, from Poets Corner to the Mystic River, we have Arlington covered. We're your neighbors, a friend you can turn to. This is ACMi News.
Ahead of town elections that are less than a month away, the state extended the opportunity for residents who are taking precautions against COVID-19 to vote by mail. Hello Arlington and welcome to ACMi News. I'm Paul Werlin. The deadline to request an absentee ballot is Tuesday, April 6th at 5 o'clock p.m. However, the town encourages residents who choose to vote by mail to submit a written request as soon as possible. The application to request the mailing option is available on the town's website at arlingtonma.gov. If you have any questions regarding your voting status or the election process, please contact the town clerk. Town elections will be held on April 10th. It's springtime in New England, which means it doesn't always feel that way. A distinct chill in the air did not stop members of the Arlington Rotary Club from taking a refreshing dunk into a tank of water on a recent Saturday to raise awareness and fundraise for the fight against polio. ACMi News correspondent Isabel Litterst stayed warm and dry for this report.
If New England winters weren't already cold enough, a brave few took a plunge into icy waters this past weekend for a great cause.
Members of the Arlington Rotary Club gathered at St. Camilla's Parish. 4 members of the club prepared to dunk in icy water as a fundraiser for polio vaccines.
Paul Buckley on one end, Nancy Feeney, Becca Harris, and Bill Hayner. Crazy 4 Rotarians.
I can't do this.
Okay, doing after you unlock it.
3, 2.
Oh my God. Come on, get out of there.
They were definitely cold, but they were committed to a cause.
Oh, it is good. My 3 compatriots that are as crazy as I am. We've raised over $4,000 just in the Arlington Club alone. It will be matched by the Bill and Melinda Gates 2 to 1. So that's going to translate to $12,000 just coming from the Rotary Club of Arlington to fight polio. The Polio Foundation also supports other countries for vaccination and keeping children safe.
Thank you to everybody that contributed, especially Dr. Wyman, and also thank you to Joel Berman and Berman's Liquor for the ice.
Thank you very much, everyone.
This is a big feat for the Arlington Rotary Club and for Arlington, something we can be proud of. For ACMi News, I'm Isabella Turst.
Thanks, Isabel. One of Arlington's signature nonprofits has reached a milestone in its brief but storied history. Foodlink has officially found a new home on Summer Street after relocating a number of times over the last 9 years. The Foodlink Hub, as their new facility is called, is now open for business, so to speak. Here's senior news producer Anim Osmani with the story.
From rescuing unsold bread from the Panera parking lot to distributing 1 million pounds of salvaged fresh food to the community and beyond, it's been quite a journey. Foodlink has evolved from operating out of a rundown vehicle to now owning a new energy-efficient facility that enables a group of more than 250 volunteers and staff to rescue food and nourish the community.
So we've never been only Arlington, but our reach went further and further as we got more food and the need was brought to our attention. We're in many, many more communities than we used to be, and we're receiving food from many more places than we did before.
The new site, located at 108 Summer Street, has increased storage space, expanded refrigeration capacities, a loading dock for the vehicles, and an indoor sorting space. The facility is also built and designed to reduce their impact on the environment. Although still in progress, the site has a VRF HVAC system for climate control, complemented by high R-value insulation and windows. The building was also constructed with repurposed materials and supplies. Soon, solar panels will be installed to offset the energy use of the refrigeration.
And at some point, that's going to house the materials to connect to solar panels that we intend to have on the roof. This was a cement block building. So there was no insulation, they were old windows, and there was nothing energy efficient about a cement block building.
Deanne DuPont and Julie Kramer credit their rapid growth and outreach to their dedicated volunteers and everyone who has helped them along the way.
We could not do what we do without our volunteers, and they are a key part of Foodlink. And they are often the front line meeting with the grocers or the recipient agencies. So they're able to communicate our values, our ethos, when they collect and distribute food. And so I cannot say enough about our volunteers. We believe we have the best volunteers. And then our staff are just incredible, because we have data from the beginning that we can demonstrate the growth, including like the number of partnerships we had with recipient agencies, donors. And this is all about relationships. That's what Foodlink is all about, relationships.
The building won't be fully completed until 2025. Foodlink will strategically grow their operations to continue their mission to divert million pounds of food from being wasted to preferably our tummies. For ACMi News, I'm Anim Osmani.
For the past 6 months, strange and colorful sculptures have been hanging from the trees along the Minuteman bike path. They are part of the Arlington Commission for Arts and Culture's public art installation called Persistence, created by artist-in-residence Michelle Luigi. Reducing single-use plastic waste is the message here. The ACAC wants to complement the project with a virtual event with Michelle and 2 other guests discussing their own approaches to plastic waste. Waste Not, Want Not is what they're calling it.
It's basically a talk that brings together these 3 perspectives of how artists are working on issues of waste and reducing waste and recycling, and how somebody boots on the ground is working on it here in our town in Arlington.
Residents will have the opportunity to speak directly with artists Michelle Luigi and Samantha Fields about the inspiration behind their art and dive further into the issues they're passionate about. Samantha Fields is a Boston-based artist whose exhibit, Desires, portrays the harmful effects of fast fashion and textile waste.
What is the role of artists as activists? It's a really key question. And I think there are artists who do create things just for their beauty or for the challenge of representing something in the world. But artists are also engaged with the issues of our times and choose to engage in their activism through their artistic practice, and can move the culture forward, can get us all to see our ordinary, everyday problems in a new light, or help us to feel a sense of hope that we can deal with the bigger problems that often seem overwhelming, and we might feel that there's no way to address them, that they're just too big.
Charlotte Milan, Arlington's recycling coordinator, is a dynamic activist in her own right and is also a featured guest at Waste Not, Want Not. She hopes to engage residents who attend the event and spur them to act locally when it comes to waste reduction.
Well, I'm looking forward to partnering with artists because they have such a great way of communicating with the public. And that's certainly our goal here at Public Works, is to communicate with the public about what everyone perceives of as problems with plastic, and that can be different for each person. If you've ever been really irked by plastic, too much plastic in our world, and you're getting stuck by feeling kind of negative about it, come and hear from these artists about ways to really shift our attitudes towards plastic and see some positiveness that can come from our group efforts to take action to reduce the plastics in our environment, and see the beautiful art that can be created, and hear from people who've been doing this work for a long time.
Waste Not, Want Not takes place on Saturday, March 20th at 4:00 p.m. and it's free to attend. Pre-registration is required. Registration information is available on the calendar of events at artsarlington.org. Monotomy Grill and Tavern, a mainstay of Arlington's food and drink scene, had to cancel their 2020 St. Patrick's Day celebration because of the pandemic, but they were not about to let that happen again this year. Isabel Litter shows us how the late-night eatery got in the holiday spirit this time around.
After a year characterized by canceled traditions, Monotomy Grill and Tavern is saying we're back by celebrating St. Patty's Day.
Monotony temporarily closed its doors just before last year's St. Patty's Day celebration.
We were locked and loaded and ready to go, and we closed, our last day of business was March 15th.
For owner Billy Lyons, this event is a sign of hope.
We're trying to get back to where we were. This was a very difficult year for me because, you know, I'm responsible for all that. So it does feel good.
Lyons told me about the precautions that the restaurant is taking to prevent the spread of COVID-19.
We built all the dividers for the booths where our ceilings are 45 to 50 feet high. In addition to that, we've got sanitizer stations everywhere. We also installed those ionizers, which kills all pathogens, 99.9% of all pathogens.
Adapting to pandemic restrictions meant forgoing some restaurant traditions.
We would always have a live Irish band, so we'll bring that back next year.
Their traditional Irish menu remains the same.
The traditional corned beef and cabbage, the Guinness stew, and the Guinness cupcakes with the Bailey cream cheese frosting. Spectacular. It's a little bit different, but we're busy. People are happy to be out. It's exciting. It's a long time coming. I think there's a lot of jump on everybody's steps because of the vaccination progress. We can feel it.
One last springtime note, on Saturday, March 20th, the Chambers of Commerce in Arlington and a number of surrounding communities will celebrate the sense of renewal and optimism brought by this change of season in a novel way. They are sponsoring a live virtual health and wellness fair that will allow participants to move a little more, eat a little better, and stress a little less. News Director James Milan was intrigued and spoke to a couple of the organizers.
The Area Chamber Directors is a group of chamber directors that meet on a regular basis and even more regularly during the pandemic to share information and ideas. And this idea came out of that group. The chamber director in Stoneham had suggested that she'd like to do her regular health and wellness fair, but obviously couldn't be doing it in person and was thinking about doing it virtually, and would any of us like to participate? So 5 other towns joined in, and we have Malden, Stoneham, Lexington, Winchester, Arlington, and Waltham. Did I miss anybody, Erin?
I think that's everybody.
And we have all reached out to health and wellness related businesses within our respective towns and put together a really great group of diverse health and wellness providers. Some of the regular sorts that you might be thinking about with nutrition and fitness and those sorts of areas. But then we also have, for example, financial wellness. So because we were working with a bunch of different towns, we're able to get probably a broader mix than we otherwise would have.
This platform that we're using, it's called Booth Central, and the way that it works, it's a web page. I mean, it's as easy as just navigating over to a web page. So in terms of being a familiar experience for users, it's easy. And embedded within the website, they have a live stream feature. So we have events and demonstrations and classes and so forth going on all day in that live stream. So when someone lands on the event page, they'll first see the live stream, much like we're talking right now. It'll just be ongoing throughout the day. And below that, they will see all these booths. So when you go to a traditional expo or trade show or something like that, you walk the aisles and you want to see as many different booths as you can. And Booth Central does a nice job of replicating that in a website format. So each participating vendor has a tile underneath, that's their booth. They get to customize it with their own pictures, or they can upload a video, and people just kind of scan down the page looking at the variety of booths that are there. When they want to talk to someone, each booth has a live chat feature. So they click to request a chat. And on the other end, the vendor who is, comfortably sitting at home or in their office or wherever they might be, gets a notification that someone has entered their booth and wants to speak with them. And it automatically just activates a live chat where up to 6 people can be talking together in that booth. And so it's a way of really replicating the the in-person experience in a virtual format. It's creative, I think, and it's very different from Zoom, and it comes close to replicating the in-person experience.
Do you want to just remind folks how it is that they can get involved with this as participants?
So the best way really is to go to the Arlington Chamber website or the Lexington Chamber website or any of the other participating chambers, like Beth already said, Stoneham and Waltham, Malden, Winchester, excuse me. And we all have links for how to get on there, because hopefully you're far more familiar with our websites than you are with Booth Central.
One thing that I'd like to say is if you register and attend, you will get a virtual swag bag emailed to you a couple of days after the event, which will be full of offers and coupons from participating vendors. So it, much like a traditional trade show, you'll walk away with some goodies. They'll just be digital goodies.
A lot is happening at Arlington High School. We've got 3 different segments coming up to highlight all the action, starting with the weekly Ponderscope.
Hello, and welcome back to this week's edition of the Ponderscope, your Arlington High School news, updates, and more. My name is Sam Derringer, and first in the news this week, the AHS administration has posted numerous updates regarding MCAS testing for students. Students in 9th, 10th, and 11th grade will have the opportunity to take their respective tests this spring. Both juniors and sophomores will test for ELA MCAS on May 11th and 12th, along with Math MCAS on May 18th and 19th. Freshmen should plan to complete their Science MCAS testing on June 9th. All testing will be conducted in person, with unfortunately no remote option. More information will be released soon about an infrastructure trial for the exams currently scheduled for Friday, April 16th. Next week, the Drama Guild will present their 3rd installment of performances in a year that has seen theater go completely online. This time around, AHS alumni Aaron Aptaker has led a cast of creative students to devise their own piece. From March 25th to 27th at 7:30 p.m., make sure to catch one of the 3 free YouTube live stream performances of Telling Our Story, Narrations, Truths, and Change. Be on the lookout for the links to these live streams, coming soon. For seniors only. On Thursday, March 25th at 7 p.m., the class of 2021 will host their first ever senior trivia night. Register either solo or as part of a group to complete in Powerhouse Pop Culture Trivia, where only one will come out as the victor. To register yourself or your team, visit the link to the Google form attached in the description. The Arlington Youth Health and Safety Coalition is sponsoring a teen-only discussion surrounding responsible tech and social media use. This youth-only event strives to address unhealthy forms of internet use, as well as provide tools that can be used to combat these issues. The event will also take place on Thursday, March 25th from 7:30 to 8:30 p.m. To register, use the link attached in the description. And lastly, I want to take a moment to address the murders that took place in Atlanta on Tuesday, and the many racist attacks against the Asian American community. On behalf of the entire Ponderscope team, we vehemently condemn all forms of discrimination, violence, and hatred against Asian Americans. We stand together with those advocating for peace and justice, and we will continue to embrace the value of diversity in strengthening communities everywhere. That's all for this week's edition of the Ponderscope. From ACMi, I'm Sam Derringer. Now, let's check in with Nick for this week's sports update.
How's it going, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of the ACMi Sports Update. The Fall 2 season has begun and we have a lot of games to talk about. Let's head to the court where the girls varsity volleyball squad took on Woburn, where they unfortunately lost by a score of 3-0, splitting the season series with the Tanners after winning their first matchup. Next, we'll head to the pool where girls swimming opened up their season against Belmont, and were able to win a tight contest by a score of 89-80, starting off the year on a high note with the win. Now that we've wrapped up last week's action, let's look ahead to some matchups in the near future. Track has their first meet of the season on March 20th versus Woburn. Football will be kicking off soon as well, with their first home game of the season taking place on Saturday, March 27th at 1 p.m. Make sure to watch that game live on ACMi. But that's not all. I had some time this past week to learn more about the sport of crew at Arlington High School. Crew, a grueling sport, described as something that takes a high pain tolerance to get through. It requires a focused mindset, strength, and resiliency to succeed at. The Arlington Belmont boys varsity crew team at the high school has that down, having the opportunity to compete in a wide range of competitions, from regattas on the Merrimack River to statewide tournaments, even getting the chance to participate in the Head of the Charles. Despite the grand stage that our town's team is on, the sport is surprisingly unknown among students. Crew is a team sport where you row in races called regattas. There are a few different sized boats, all known by how many rowers can fit in them.
We mostly did bigger boats, an 8-person shell with one coxswain steering the boat, and we did some fours as well. We would go out about 4 days a week on the water, and we would have one land day.
The crew team, however, isn't the type to let COVID get in the way of practicing.
This past fall, because of COVID, we were lucky enough to get a bunch of new one-person boats, singles. So we had, I think five singles and then a couple doubles. And we, rather than all the squads practicing together, we split up into 4 groups, and we were only on the water for about an hour a day on 3 days a week. And then we only had 2 land practices, and we couldn't use the rowing machines.
In addition to the long days of intense practices that go into an attempt at nationals, there's another race here in Boston called the Head of the Charles, where rowers of all ages from all around the world compete. The captains and coxswain of the boys team we are hearing from today were able to participate in this once-in-a-lifetime race back in 2019.
Everybody comes out for it, and as you come under, there's this really big 180-degree turn, basically, that just kills your legs coming into the last 500 meters of the race. And you go under Elliott Bridge, and you're kind of dying, but everybody from AB Crew gets on that bridge, and they just scream whenever one of our boats comes underneath.
Let's go! Let's go, boys! Let's go! Let's go! Yeah!
And it's just like, it's deafening, it's wild, and you just feel the support. It's incredible. It's something I'll never forget.
Now, what makes Crew so fascinating that it's worth a watch? The races themselves consist of rough rides through the waves and intense pushes to the finish.
Yeah, I've done, basketball, soccer, baseball, and all those were nice, but I guess I, tried Crew for the first time in fall, and I guess I just fell in love with it.
With all of the things there are to enjoy about this sport, from being put on an international stage to making lifetime bonds with teammates, there's still so much more.
It really put me together with a group of people I wouldn't have necessarily have met outside of Crew, and it gave me many connections with a very unique group of people. But not only that, being a coxswain, it really helped me gain confidence in myself because I'm very introverted, and it made me realize that my voice can positively impact things.
This is a great sport. If you're thinking about rowing, please come. I think you'll have a good time.
From ACMi News, my name is Nick Antonakis.
That's all we have for today. Thank you for tuning into this week's newscast. For the cast and crew of ACMi News, I'm Paul Werlin. We'll see you next time. Stay safe.
You can always check out our latest segments and newscasts on the web at acmi.tv/news. And don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and Instagram at ACMi News. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. You'll find us at youtube.com/ACMi News. If you have any news tips for us or wish to become a citizen journalist, we'd love to hear from you. Email us at news@acmi.tv or stop by ACMI Studio A at 85 Park Avenue.